welcome to a new episode of Hanging Out at Good to Eat. Today, this is going to be the first episode of a series that I've been wanting to make for a long time, which is going to go over Good to Eat cooking and hospitality philosophy. Today, I have a special guest, our sake collection. Yes, I've been wanting to interview Angie as to what it takes to create a sake program for a restaurant, why she decided to start a sake sommelier certification for herself, and really delve into why sake and not other beverages. We're also going to have a small education session with Shawn, who's very passionate about telling you what goes on to the sake labels, what do they mean, and how can you go about choosing the best sake for your guest experience. Let's listen to them.
Well, since we started Good to Eat, that even started the Papa era, that it's all about dining experience. So it's all about that people get together, having good food, having good time. So it's all about food, beverage, people all together. So choosing right beverage to enhance dining experience is always one of our most important thing. So after we opened this brick and mortar over here, that finally we have our own restaurant. That so besides that craft beer, that we already have a great portfolio with. That we also ask ourselves that should we have more wine or any other alcohol? That so we have a lot of discussion and the consideration on. Should we do wine? Should we do nature wine? Should we do liquor? Should we do that? So we finally we really feel we want to embrace sake as part of our portfolio. And one of the most important reasons is that so sake is rice wine and emphasize a lot on umami. So compared to wine, which we absolutely love, that so sake provide more umami that compared to wine. So and our food that when we put the food pairing into the consideration, that so our food is always emphasize some layer of the aroma and big umami and the great aftertaste. So when we factor in this food element, that we definitely want to choose alcohol beverage has similar characteristics. So sake that comes perfectly into this picture. So and actually we are not choosing all the sake possible that from the market. So if you look carefully, that we tend to choose sake profile that first small batch made, because we ourselves we are food maker, we love small batch made stuff. And the second, that all of our sake tend to have bright texture, long finish, beautiful layer of the aroma, which complement great with our chef's food. So overall that we simply so. And also we know that sake that not everyone knows about sake nowadays, and it's totally fine because you're here having a good time with us, and we will introduce you to exciting new flavor and a new drink anyways. So so this is why we have great sake selection, and I feel super proud that we have all the sake that small batch made and very unique, that is not easily to find the market. And the most important thing is that they are all having this great bright texture, great big umami, beautiful aftertaste, layer of the aroma that will really enhance your dining experience over here. So that's why we go with sake.
I want to ask you, what would you say to someone who's a wine drinker, who's a bit intimidated by sake, or maybe they just have this impression that sake is mainly sweet and it's not going to sweet their palate? How would you have one piece of advice to give them in how to start their sake journey?
Well, so I would say sake is just like wine. That there are many different level of the sake and the different tasting profile of sake. So while perhaps usually the overall impression for sake is sweet, that actually that you can consider that I would say think like white wine. So it's less acidity and brighter umami, and so it's all about the layer of the aroma and fragrance. So in general, if you like good white wine, that if you enjoy a good glass of Cabernet Sauvignon or Chardonnay, that I'm pretty sure you will find a lot of similarity and fun through sake as well. And here actually we always choose 1 to 2 sake that has higher acidity in flavor profile. That is not only catering for wine drinker. It's actually also one of the modern trend for sake, and also paired with food. So yeah, so if you are familiar with wine and you love wine, that I encourage you to come down here and talk with us. That we will have something for you and introduce you to beautiful sake food there.
My next question is, why did you decide to go with a rotating sake menu? A lot of restaurants, they have their set wine menu, but you seem just like our food menu to rotate. Why did you decide to go with a presentation like this?
I guess we just really love the approach of like small batch and everything so intentional, and every night we open our door that we want all of our offering to be able to become a meaningful conversation between you and us. So since our Papa era, that from our menu has been like really tiny selection. And then nowadays that even for our food menu compared to most of the restaurant is smaller. So that allows us to curate the flavor profile that we want you to taste. So same with our sake. That so we always want to choose sake that pair great with our food. And the second that so just like food, like based on season. So sometimes you like now during the summertime that so your palate is a little bit different. You want to have some sake that spritzy and refreshing, and you would like sweet sake too, but sweet in a really bright and refreshing way. So we would choose summer sake and it paired great with our summer flavor. So we really want to make sure everyone enjoy the flavor and the beverage pairing. So that's why we only select 5 premium sake plus 1 sweet sake every time, because we want to make sure that everything is intentionally curated, and we want to guarantee you the good time only.
Much like wine, sake has a lot of different labels and delineation. One of the interesting thing is the polishing ratio, and it's indicated by words like ginjo, daiginjo, or sometimes the absence of the word. You only see how it says Junmai sake. These different labels talks about how much of the rice is polished away. And you might be thinking like, why do we need to like mill away or polish away the rice? Because outside of the rice, you're gonna have husk and other unfermentable bits. You have the proteins and the fats and other things. But only the starchy core in the middle can be converted into sake by the yeast. So the rice we usually eat is polished away about like 10%. and we eat the remaining 90%, right? That's why it's like white. For something to be a ginjo, for a ginjo, that means you polish away at least 40%. For something to be a daiginjo, you polish away at least 50%. So we're talking about throwing away half of all the ingredients here. So this also means that something like a daiginjo will usually be more expensive. It doesn't always mean like it's better, it's really the style that the brewer is going for. So when you polish away more of the outside bits, you're gonna get a more nuanced, a more delicate, and oftentimes a little bit more floral finish. Versus something that's lower polishing rate, you're usually gonna get more body, it's a little bit more robust. You can think of something like a heavier red Cabernet, versus something a little bit lighter and more delicate. So that's what the ginjo and daiginjo, that's what that means. So another interesting type of sake is what's called nama. And you sometimes just see it on the labels in the back. For example, this one it says nama sake, but sometimes they don't. It's not legally required to say whether a sake is nama or not, or even if it's daiginjo or not. The label is actually, maybe that's like a discussion for another day. But both of these are nama sake, and nama in Japanese means raw, and what that means is that the sake is unpasteurized. Versus, say, wine. People will add sulfite to make it shelf stable. For sake, people will pass it through a pipe surrounded by hot water to kill off the germs and kill off the culture to make it shelf stable, like pasteurizing. And this is actually a technique passed over to Japan from China a long time ago. And so what happened is that nowadays we can actually have unpasteurized sake sent all the way from Japan to the United States, refrigerated the whole way. But back in the days, you can only get these kind of sake really at the brewery because they don't stay good for long. So one cool thing about these nama sake is that sometimes you're gonna get a little bit of effervescence. And the reason is because, similar to how champagnes work, if the yeast is still alive in the bottle and there's some residual sugar, you'll continue to eat those sugar and release carbon dioxide, and therefore you'll get that little fuzz when you open. And it does also give you a little bit more wild, kind of a robust, nuanced, layered flavors. So yeah, you usually get that in the nama sake.
So what did you think? Do you know which sake you want to go next? What is it going to be, more a daiginjo or more a nama? We currently have a really good nama actually on the menu. This is definitely one of my favorite for summer sakes, like Angie was talking about. Also, I think for me, sake has been a really big game changer. Beer makes me feel a little heavy and tired. Wine has been giving me some headaches, but I don't know if it's the fermentation process of the sake, but sake has been something that I can enjoy without feeling heavy or having any headaches or feeling like crappy the next day. Anyways, yes, tell me in the description below if you have a favorite sake. Maybe you've had one and you are hoping that it comes back on the menu. You know how we like to collaborate with our guests, so I'm sure that Angie would listen to your little murmurs of favorite sakes. Till next time.